I am in this industry of the wellness and spa industry for the past 20 years. I must say I started out not expecting to get this far, but it's actually a passion. I started out as an athlete, just wanted to go into small therapy, but realized it's an industry that is ever growing, and once you're passionate for something like this, you can reach far, and it's something that I enjoy doing from day to day, because you can tap into not only the hands-on therapy, but that the connection of the wellness and change lives is something that's part of what I want to offer to my clients. All right.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Samantha Hammond. I am the owner of Just Adventures Travel Services back in New York. We are a host agency, so I host travel agents all over the U.S., and I'm still a luxury travel consultant. As a travel consultant, I specialize in destination weddings and wellness retreats. So for the last 8 or 9 years, about 9 years now, I've been taking women across the world on wellness retreats. We just came back from Bali last week, so I'm a little tired. And we're doing India this year, we're doing Thailand. But I got into wellness because I was a yoga instructor. I forgot to tell you that before I was doing travel. So once I became a travel consultant, I wanted to somehow incorporate my love for wellness, love for yoga, and I started doing that by taking women around the world. We do about 10 to 15 trips, and we go everywhere from Asia to the Caribbean, just different places. And yeah, that's me.
Minister Connor, yes.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Cardigan Connor. I've been tasked with giving you an exercise ritual this morning, so if you don't mind, I'll ask you all to stand.
Absolutely.
It's a simple one, actually. All I need you to do is to put your hands out like that, palms down. Put the palms up, palms facing each other. Go like that. Thank you for that standing ovation. It's important to start the day with a laugh, and that's a good way of doing it. My background actually is in sport as well. I was a professional cricketer in England with Hampshire for 15 years. I would play in England during the summer, English summer, even though it might be a month at times, and then go to Australia and play there in the winter. And back in the early 90s, I would go back to my home island of Anguilla. Antigua is beautiful, but Anguilla is even more beautiful. So I went back to develop cricket in the schools, teach the youngsters the game. I left Anguilla at 15, so my passion really was to go back and give back. But for me, the benefits of health and wellness really came in 1984 when I made my debut for Hampshire. When you play at the club level and then you go to the professional level, you realize that the workload is so much greater. And I think that's when I learned the benefits of massage. Because at club level, you might play 1 or 2 days a week. At the pros, sometimes it's 15 out of 16. And the body doesn't recover as quickly as you would like. So that's where the benefits of massage really came in. But then there's also the mental side as well. And I remember playing in the first finals at Lord's. And of course, for every athlete, or the majority of them anyway, nerves plays a major role. And when you're nervous, the chances are you stop breathing. So what I found, in fact, when I decided to go into yoga, it was mainly to improve my flexibility. But what I learned really was the benefit of the breath. So of course, what you learn is that when you think you're under pressure, it's all in the head. It is a case of you stop breathing. And what I've learned from the benefits of yoga is that is one of the greatest gifts we can have, because without the use of the breath, then the body shuts down. And over the years, it's worked for me. I was able to work within the wellness industry at Kapchuluka Hotel. Did that for a number of years. And with a sporting background, it made it quite easy to be able to transfer to others the benefits, the personal benefits that I would have gained. But it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Yeah.
Good
Hi,
morning,
Christine.
everybody. My name's Christine Carey, and I'm from the Bahamas, from New Providence. And of course, any Nasuvian knows that you've got to go where your family's actually from, so we're from Eleuthera. And one thing that we always had growing up was the ability to go back to the island and see what it was like to have farmed food and eat that kind of way, which is something that we carried through here to Nassau with my family, which is we focused a lot on organic foods and healthy eating and understanding the spiritual perspective of why we do things that we do, and also bringing in the psychological. So like many of us up here, we don't just have one layer of experience. I went on to a massive binge of learning everything possible about wellness and health from about 18 or so up until now, where I find myself today as the Director of Wellness for Albany, which is a luxury real estate resort community here in the Bahamas with a network all over the world. And what we're doing now is really the first platform of its kind for us, where we're integrating a collective approach where we're bringing in experts from all over the world to address the different segments of wellness which have to do with mind, body, spirit experiences, nutrition, aesthetics, the med spa industry. We have a spa which falls under my portfolio as well. Lots of fitness, yoga, lots of different modalities under the fitness arena. And what we're doing too is just some trials on retreats and how we can incorporate the beauty of the Bahamas along with all of these healthy lifestyles, especially when we focus in on the luxury market, specifically for us. But for me, it hits home as a holistic health coach, as I've been practicing for the last 10 years. How do we affect change within our staff members of the resorts we work in, the businesses we have, and then how does that transfer over to the overall health of our communities? So for me, it's a very layered approach, and I understand now why I've studied everything that I did and had the experiences that I've had, is because wellness or well-being is our future. And you have to be a holistic engager in this topic because we as human beings are very diverse and very dynamic. And so the more we understand about our existence and the things that we're looking for in order to create health and wellness, the better apt we are to create products and services that are going to put us on the world market.
Really, thank you so much. Such an great articulation of where we are and really the wide range of what wellness travel really means. So on that, we talk about a scale. Wellness travel can mean anything from a walk on the beach all the way to what Christine is doing at the Albany Resort.
What I'm seeing a lot of development in is especially people who are looking for serene environments, a rustic experience also. So people who are used to luxuries kind of want to rough it, quote unquote rough it, but also combined with a luxury experience afterwards where we're doing pampering as well. So it's quite a combination of now that down home, get your hands dirty, have new experiences, but at the same time enjoy the technological abilities that we have, the hands-on massage, the spa experience, and combine those two. People are getting a lot more into farming, water activities, walks, hikes, and also the digital detox. Those are things that we always give as options to the people who come and work within our programs too, because we're so bombarded with movement and activity that we have high stress loads. The parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system are having difficulty balancing out now. So we have a lot of people who have anxiety, who have depression, feelings of not fitting in, not knowing their placement, even when they're at the executive level, or people who are making tens of millions of dollars a year. We're all looking for performance enhancement as well, whether you're an athlete or you just want to stabilize left and right brain function or optimize your health.
So if you were to put that in one sentence, say, just if you were to define wellness travel, because you've got a wide range, what would be your snapshot, your definition?
A fully customized, concierged wellness travel experience.
And that would define that other end of the spectrum, I would say, right?
Luxury wellness, especially in the Caribbean, is something that is authentic to the Caribbean that travelers are looking for. They want to feel like they're in the Caribbean when they're in the Caribbean. And One of the things I think we can tap into is to make our rustic environment a little bit more luxurious, something of comfort, something of cleanliness, because we naturally have all the elements to make a balanced life for anyone. So just being in the Caribbean, enjoying the ocean breeze, enjoying the scenic view, it itself is a part of wellness. So for us, just add a little bit more comfort and relaxation to our rustic environment, and we can be one of our big force to reckon with any other place in the world that offer wellness.
So if you were to do that same thing in one sentence, what would your sentence be?
A place of comfort and total relaxation where I can log off, but feel appreciated, feel like I am tapping into the inner me.
Excellent, okay. Cardinal?
Yeah, thank you. I think for us in Anguilla, we regard ourselves as a luxurious island in a way. We've got a number of high-class hotels, 5-star. In fact, places like Belmont Cap Choluca. Cap Choluca for a number of years have been regarded as one of the top hotels, but to have a new owner in Belmont means that is something that's extra special. We have a number of repeat guests of high net worth, but again, what has happened in recent times is that it is not just about how much money you have in your pocket, but the fact is that you'll be treated special in a way. And I think what you'll also find now with Airbnb being new on the market is that we're saying to any and everybody who's looking for a place to come to where you feel as if you are special and be treated special, I think is vitally important. Treatments are one thing, but the human touch or the human nature or the energies that you get from our people, I think that is, as a Caribbean people, is what sets us apart from the rest. And that is something that, as we go forward, we have to continue to build on. And again, as I said, it's not just about how deep your pockets are. It is the fact that you understand when you visit our region that you get nothing but high value.
You want to leave the traveler with some sense of transformation.
Right.
And so to me, one of my definitions is, it's becoming another word for wellness travel is transformative travel. How do we, because every region's different, and with Organic Spa, of course, we work with destinations globally. Whether it be India and Costa Rica are two that have a lot of product in the wellness travel space already, as do you. And it's how do they message that properly so that they bring the energy and the DNA of those destinations, how do they infuse that with the wellness experience?
When they are coming to me for a luxury wellness experience, they're all about amenities and features. So it could be, offerings from a specific resort or things like that. My clients are looking for a higher end experience, and that's just what they want. It's an overall program, they do want the spa services, they do want the farm to table, they do want a full-on immersion, because yes, wellness travel is transformative. And that's what we do for our retreats. It's to completely transform the individual in 10 days, and that's what they're looking for, but they're looking for it at a higher level.
So you work directly with putting these retreats together and directly with, say, the end consumer,
Yes.
the wellness traveler. And so they're looking for, these packages, and of course they're looking for it at a luxury level, as you say, with the services and what have you. But what would you say is one of the most prevalent things? The yoga piece, which means the mind, a more, say, meditative physical part? Is it the spa wellness piece in the sense of, the spa treatment piece? Or is it the cultural piece?
When I put together packages for my clients, if they're on my retreats or just individual clients, I do a well-rounded package. So even if the destination usually the destination will provide everything, but even if the hotel doesn't offer everything, I will package that for my clients. So yes, there will be spa services, there will be tours, because I think what's also important in wellness, it's not just about, you're walking on the beach, you're having a great vegan meal. It's about the experience, because these clients, you know, we're dealing with luxury clients. They're tired, they want to get away, they want to be immersed. And that includes being immersed in the culture where they are. So I do tend to put together a well-rounded, you know, pat myself on the back, a well-rounded wellness experience for my clients.
Well, that's great, and that's a good segue for us, because I'd like to talk about, you know, some of the destinations that we've seen, you know, have been very successful with infusing the local culture and indigenous treatments into their spa services, et cetera. So they've brought the, you know, really the local healing, or the powers of the local healers into their spa treatment services. But the other piece is taking the traveler out and letting them experience where some of these ingredients or products or local service or local indigenous plants and ingredients are coming from, learning more about where the source is. So on that, the Caribbean has an abundance. There is an incredible, goes back in your history steep with, you've got all kinds of healing herbs and remedies from, the Indian tribes and West African communities that were here prior to, back in the 16th century. So how do you each feel you could bring that more to light? What or who, and maybe you could give us an example of who's doing that already well. What property that you may know of in the Caribbean is doing a really good job at that, and where it could really, what more could everybody do? So I think we'll start with you.
So we can actually call that aspect like a farm to spa experience, which is something unique,
Right.
Farming in the Caribbean. We do have in abundance different herbs and different fruits and different vegetables. Just allow me to get to that. Okay, so it's there for us. If we incorporate it as a part of our wellness offering, where we're not only just in the session of the therapy presenting a scrub or a wrap from the herbs, but they actually can visit the farms and see how we grow it, see how we harvest it, and see how easy it is sometimes for you to make it as a tea, make it as a juice. So it actually become an experience for the client, and that's something that they will leave the islands and can remember or identify each different island with. I mean, each territory does have something that is unique for them. In Antigua specifically, I know we do have a little of the lemongrass, we have the nuni, we have coconut, papaya, pineapple, and it's actually seasonal. So travelers who are really in love with a particular fruits or so can say, hey, I want to be in this part of the Caribbean because it's mango season, I can enjoy that, And we do have a lot of people who come in April, May, because they know they are not only going to have a papaya, pineapple, or mango wrap, but they actually can go and pick the fruit and identify the different types of fruit. That in itself is an experience, because I find when the clients come from, whether it be America or Europe, they just want to feel anything that is Caribbean. They get excited, and just giving them the option to harvest it, feel it on the body, and then enjoy it afterwards to stimulate the taste bud is something that leave a memory to them.
Right, I think it's so important. I think it's the Caribbean is steeped in tradition. It's been traditionally a luxury travel destination, and because so much is imported, that also speaks to there's been a lot of product and services imported, so that you're bringing in, you're using products that are, from France or from different countries in your spa treatments and services, when really, that's fine, but I think that we're missing the piece and not being able to offer some of the indigenous opportunities and services that are right there. And again, with so many curative and healing powers that, you have you're steeped in history this way, and it's not something that's really been spoken about or promoted. So the product's there, and so it's interesting to be able, I think it's going to be a challenge to bring it on how do you bring this to light, and perhaps Minister Connor can let us know a little bit more about that challenge as somebody who's working with a lot of players in the travel industry. But that's a big piece, and it is a big part of what the wellness traveler is looking for today. That, and also, Christine, your piece, which is very much the curated and scheduled program that is very individualized. So it is both. So let's go to you, Tricia.
I think it's.
Oh yes, I'm sorry.
I was like, wait. I think it's going back to what
Samantha.
you said about. I was like, wait, is it her turn? Going back to what you said, I feel like the Caribbean don't need to import anything. You know, I think everything we need for wellness travel is already here. I just came back from Bali, and we did, like a food tour as part of our wellness trip, and everything they had there, we have. It was so funny. Our tour guide was telling us, oh yeah, jackfruit, we're the only one. I'm like, wait, I have a jackfruit back home in Jamaica, a tree right in my backyard. There's nothing different than these places where, unfortunately, the Caribbean isn't known yet for wellness as some other places, as Bali, as India. But we have everything they have already. We have the same plants, we have the same food. I think it just comes down to marketing.
Mm-hmm.
The Caribbean does so well marketing itself as a luxury, like romance destination, as a family and fun destination, that when clients come to me asking me for wellness, they're not immediately thinking, oh, I could go to Jamaica. They're thinking, I can go to India. But the same things are here. We have yoga here, we have the sun, we have the beaches. So to me, it's not necessarily importing anything. We have everything here. It's just a matter of letting the clients or the consumers know that, listen, we are an option too. You don't have to go halfway around the world to get something. You can get it right in the Caribbean.
Absolutely. It's very well said. Did you want to jump?
To be able to have an industry that would export salt to Trinidad or even to Canada was very important to us. I think the fact that you can earn gives you some great value in life. But also, I think for us, we look to the soil. So rather than import, we would grow our own. Our challenge is that as we move into the hotels, more of our workers move into the hotels, some of that has been neglected. Now it's been realized that it is better to plant your own, because a lot of the visitors that comes to the region, they would like to, this from the soil to the table or from the seed to the table is so important, because there's that degree of freshness or something that is alive, rather than you think if it's been transported and frozen for a period of time, the value for it is gone.
Right, and you hit on a big word, value. So the global wellness traveler is a values-driven consumer. They're not price conscious. The affluent, that's really the segment. They're values-driven. And so if the more value you provide in the experience and ways of transforming their well-being, and whether that be a simple salt bath, or again, more intensive programs, that's the key. We talked a little bit about some of the trends we're seeing is, digital detox, the need to shut down, to reconnect with nature, and to, obviously de-stress. But this new, really just unplugging and reconnecting with nature is a big thing that we've seen in the last, say, 6 to 9 months. You have that here. It's you can accommodate those needs. So we're seeing on more of a global front, you're seeing trends towards, and I can share with you some trends we just got from the Global Wellness Summit.
Yeah, sure. So one of the key things for me is not just the digital detox and taking yourself away from the cell phones, computers, emails, and the things that keep us busy, but also reconnecting with yourself and being quiet, because that's really what the digital detox primarily is about. Of course, getting away from the electromagnetic frequencies that we know now from studies are affecting us on a neurological and emotional level, but also understanding who you are in this busy society. And a lot of platforms that wellness companies and resorts are doing this is through meditation classes, through deep breathing classes, through silent walks, through community cooking events where you're working with each other, cutting food, getting back in the kitchen, and overall just slowing down. So I see that just as far as trends go, also working on mental health is going to be essential. Understanding why the anxieties exist, why the depression happens, why do we have relationships that are getting messed up? Why don't we know how to calm ourselves down anymore, where it's a lot of times women who are also business owners, moms, wives, you know, dealing with themselves, where we're just constantly go, go, go. Or you might have the male executive who, you know, runs a Fortune 500 company who is just constantly on, finds himself drinking way too much, eating too many steaks, and just feeling that at 54, 55, they're slowing down and they don't want to feel that way, but the responsibilities are great. So when it comes to the detox kind of programs, I think all around, we're seeing that from a digital perspective, we're seeing that from your own personal issues, working through those, and also on a cellular nutritional level too, where we're eating foods that are whole, they are minimally processed, if processed at all. And also the other thing too is about having controlled environments, where you know that if you're going to be going on a retreat or on a vacation, I mentioned to you about having that kind of concierge one-on-one experience where you know it's tailor-made just for you and your preferences and your needs, but also understanding that a lot of people don't know what to do. Like, we do so much research and we're all very savvy intellectually now. We have access to information. And so having programs where, you know, you wake up at 6 o'clock, you do your yoga class at 6:30, you have a strict breakfast, then you do a hike, a break, a lunch, a spa activity, and dinner, and maybe a nutritional wellness talk where you're learning as well, and then bedtime, 8 o'clock, you're done. That seems to be very popular now too, where it's retraining yourself to live in a different way so that when you re-enter into your regular lifestyle again, you've got some new skills that you can then integrate it into the way you move forward. So that's what I'm thinking is going to be becoming more popular. You know, you have the medical travel, and then you also have the wellness or the well-being travel. So those are two really different segments, but I see some of them starting to combine a little bit more now.
No, I think you've hit on a, and again, it goes to that, like we were saying earlier, the spectrum, because what you're offering is so important for especially the high-level executive, the C-suite, category of employees. They just don't know how. They don't even, and they're used to structure, and they want structure. They need that help. Help me. How do I stop? How do I peel back? How do I start to? And so that is a very important part, and it is growing. Stress and anxiety and depression, mental wellness is a big problem, a very big problem in the U.S. And continues to be a problem that is not really addressed through Congress at this point. And so what they're leaning into more is, preventative. And preventative is wellness and being more in tune with that. So the first, but from the other layer, from the other spectrum, the detox or the unplugging and the back to nature, I think we can do in a more simple way too. Maybe you're not at that extreme level, you just want to get there. We're seeing more and more the no Wi-Fi zones. You're seeing a lot more of that consciousness, maybe even a subtle suggestion to put your phones away. This small little consciousness is also another way to move into that space.
Yeah, for me, I'm one of those people who, I run a pretty big, company, and my clients are exactly like me, that I take on these retreats, and I can't detox. In Bali, I was waking up 4 o'clock in the morning, going into the lobby to get work done because it was still 4 p.m. in New York. So I think, though, I'm not sure my clients would like something so rigid, but exactly what you said, we're seeing a lot more hotels, which I'm grateful for as a consumer myself, that have no Wi-Fi unless it's in the lobby. It kind of forces you to detox even though you may not want to, or,
It gives you the excuse.
yeah.
It's an excuse to put in your, out of office email that it's not available. And you're seeing more and more of that. We're also seeing that people are taking their time off. And, if it's a long weekend or a holiday, people are starting a little earlier. And they're just not available. Those out of office emails are starting a little earlier and going a little later. And I'm talking about the U.S. Consumer here. But that's a good sign. Again, there's easy ways, but that is not going to go away. And people at least are taking their time out and unplugging in more seriously, which is only beneficial to this industry.
Yeah, and I think a good wellness program will force you to, kind of like she was saying, it'll force you, but maybe not so much, where you're on a schedule, because I know a lot of my clients don't like to be on a schedule, but if they take little steps to kind of force you by not offering certain things, by not offering unhealthy food, by not offering Wi-Fi throughout the property or even TVs, it's forcing you to, I've stayed at a few of those and I thought I was gonna die. And then after like 3 days, I'm like, okay, it's not so bad. But when they force you to detox, I think a great wellness program will do it without, just putting you on such a rigid schedule.
Or putting you in that environment where you just automatically, it starts to happen. Because speaking a little to Christine's point, you're just kind of, your attention now is on other things.
Right.
Your focus. That speaks to the cultural piece, taking the traveler outside of the resort or outside of, the spa, and giving them an experience that just lets their mind go. It speaks to this piece. It's wellness in that it's letting them experience something different. It's letting them learn. There's a lot of curiosity. It's, again, going back to where some of these indigenous ingredients come from and some of the local culture and folklore. So, that's another piece, and I'm not sure if somebody wants to.
Yeah. But I think as a region, for us, it caters to the relaxed environment. I think when most people say in the Caribbean we move a little bit slower, it's because it is a case of us. There's no need to rush around. Maybe it's the environment. Maybe in the middle of winter in New York, you want to rush from A to B as quickly as possible. In Anguilla or the rest of the Caribbean, you slow down a little bit more. And I think it is important for people when they come to the region that, I know for instance at Cap Choluca, for a number of years, there were no televisions in the rooms because sometimes I think most people, when they walk into the hotel room, automatically they switch on the television, and whether it's CNN or Fox or whoever, or a sports channel. And before long, you realize that it's taken your mind over. If it's not there, after a day or two, you don't miss it. In fact, when you go on holiday, it's about you. It is about you recharging. And sometimes you have to be forced to recharge. Because when you get back to the city, the chances are things go 100 miles an hour. We've got the environment throughout the Caribbean. People expect when they come to us to be a more relaxed environment. And again, it is not just being in a room or in a spa. The fact the whole Caribbean is a spa in itself.
You get it right away. You have so much here that speaks to this. More so than India. India's busy. Costa Rica, it doesn't have the immediate, when you get off the plane, that you get anywhere in the Caribbean. So you have it already as a very full frontal experience, and from that, we can build on it.
And I'd just like to add as well, the environment might be fine, but the key in all of this is the people, because when you come to the region, the fact that you see people are happy in their own skins says that there's something good in the air, and everybody wants some of that.
Right. Tricia, did you want to elaborate?
Well, like I say, our environment is our major product that we have to offer. And every island in the Caribbean has a uniqueness. So you could be in Dominica and it's about the river, it's about the mountain, You could be in Antigua, it could be a beautiful beach. It could be in St. Lucia where you have a combination of nature in the mountains, and then you also can have the rivers and the sulfur spring. That's something very unique too, because if you can experience a sulfur in St. Lucia, a river in Dominica, the beach in Antigua, it is a selling point where you not only just say, I've been to the Caribbean, but you want to travel to different Caribbean islands because they all have different offerings. It's something that we need to advertise a bit more. It's not just the Caribbean, not just the spa in the Caribbean, but what is authentic to each territory in the Caribbean. Because even the people, we are all unique in our different ways. We incorporated our nature in different ways. It could be, like you said, you see a fruit in Bali,
yeah.
and you have it in Jamaica. There's fruits that I saw in Indonesia. It was prepared so different that I didn't realize we have the same thing in Antigua. I got all excited. Hey, I have that in Antigua. So I went back and educate my clients, my staff, and my native people. Hey, we have something here that is so powerful, and we have it like the nuni. You just see it drop in there and not realizing the tamarind, the turmerics. All of this is beneficial to us, but we actually import what is in a bottle we're not sure of, and that for us, it's magical when we have magic at our hand reach, or we can just pick it and use it.
That's right. That's right. Can we think of maybe a couple small practical things that immediately, the travel and resort community can do immediately that would help bring this message and bring the experience into a more wellness travel?
Yeah, I think for me, as a travel consultant, when I'm looking for a location or a resort for my clients, I'm looking for an overall, not just what's on the menu or if they do yoga. It's an overall program. And I think a lot of resorts, not even destination, a lot of resorts can make little improvement by, instead of having, say, a yoga week once a year, just always incorporating it in their schedule. Instead of always, having, okay, well, we have a vegetarian option, maybe putting in a vegan option, because that's something totally different. And just having the options for the clients. And, also a big thing with wellness is being eco-friendly. So like my husband and I were having breakfast this morning, and I saw the straws were made out of, I believe it was was it paper? And I'm like, that's fabulous. Like little things like that.
What was it?
It's like paper, the straws.
Oh, yes.
So I think, resorts can make little changes, because a wellness traveler, they're looking for that too. They want to go to an eco-friendly place. So you don't have to do a complete overhaul of a resort. It could be, I went to a hotel, I can't remember, in the Caribbean, that they have no plastics on property. Just little things like that, to me,
That's
like
huge.
as someone who loved wellness, I went into my room, there's no plastic bags, they're in the garbage. I appreciate that as a consumer also. So I think everyone can make a little bit of changes overall, and in 5 years have a very great program happening.
Right. It is a huge piece and a great segue, because I wanted to bring up, consciousness. I mean, wellness travel is defined by, you're being conscious on your well-being, of course, but also on the environment. And that, again, goes back to the value. And these are values-driven consumers. to see a small recycling bin beside the garbage bin, just so that they know where to put that bottled water if they had to, or having, water dispensed through in the lobby and making it easy, instead of plastic glasses, if there's actually glassware, different things. Small things go a long way. And it's an very easy shift and way to position your product. And I think would go a long way with the consumer.
I'd just like to add to that as well. It's more than the resorts. In fact, governments need to bring those laws into place, because the experience within the Caribbean is not just about the resort, it's the whole island. And when guests arrive, as they drive through your island, they have an impression, So I know for us in Anguilla, and there are a number of other islands who've already started that and implemented those laws, that we need to take care of Mother Nature. Mother Nature doesn't want those plastics in the trees and in the seas and stuff like that. So we really need, all of us really need to play our part.
We actually already did that in Antigua, where there is a ban in plastic bag. Everything must be recyclable material. So, and it's in the hotels as well. It's mandatory. No plastic, has to be eco-friendly. So it's getting there. The environment aspect is really big in Antigua as well.
And are you promoting that?
Very much so.
Good, because that should be in all the messaging.
Yes.
Going back to how, these are the things maybe we're taking for granted. You're doing a lot. You've got so much, and it comes back to what we said right at the beginning. It's the positioning and the marketing of the destination that needs to shift a little bit. That would really, really benefit everybody. Christine, did you have?
With regard to resorts and other destinations, I think that anybody who's featuring a wellness platform has an interesting task at hand, because just as we've been saying this whole time now, there are so many layers. It's not enough anymore just to have diversity of amenities and connections to services throughout the community around you as well as on property, but also to be conscious of things like plastics and how we're serving things. And I think one of the key elements that we have to continue to focus on for the Bahamas specifically is never missing out the importance of details, because details are what gives us the luxury stamp of approval. It's what makes us the best, or to be considered on the worldwide platform as, within that top tier. And building the team that you have within your work environment is essential, people being like-minded and understanding the importance of that. It's a full concierge service in that the staff members who you have, or what I like to call them, the team members, that they're all well taken care of, that they understand what true luxury is about. They understand what the expectations are from the way that we interact with eye contact, what a handshake feels like, what proper grammar looks like in an email correspondence, or the way we answer the telephones, and that we're doing that with each other, so that then carries on to the person that we welcome in as our client. So these are just a variety of areas that we have to constantly find solutions to and stay at the very front of what's going on in India and Bali and Mexico and South America and all of these other places in the United States that are already, or Europe, very well established. But remembering that all of these layers require a team of dedicated people who are going to ensure from the very foundation of it to providing it to the clientele are on point at all times.
Right, well, and that's keeping with the luxury, your luxury standard, if you will. And it's important because wellness, because of its range, you can't kind of, for lack of a better word, get sloppy with it. It has to be curated, it has to be thoughtful and conscious and so on, and that'll go a long way.
I just wanted to add with that too the importance of staff and team members, because if we're positioning ourselves, if anybody is, as a luxury brand of any kind, the people who you work with need to understand what that's all about. And something that has been very successful that we've tried out within our own teams is whenever we have our weekly meetings, as an example, we have fresh pressed juices or smoothies, and we do health coaching sessions, and we have our staff members go out on hikes or know what it feels like to live within the resort and stay there for 2, 3, 4 nights and go through the programs as well. Because once they understand what it's all about, and I'm touching on what we did, what we're doing earlier, is that the staff members, the team members have to feel it, they have to know it, they have to live it. It has to become a part of what they do in order for us to deliver that level of quality product. And I feel very strongly about that, because you can't sell something that you don't believe.
Great point. Great point. Another piece that goes back to the value is the giving back. What are some people doing on that front? I think Minister Connor, you can lean into that a little bit for us. But I think it's an important piece that can be again incorporated into the experience. You see this over and over, a way to immerse with how they can maybe give back to the environment or give back to the community, give back to the culture, especially if there's an appreciation for what they're getting from it. Do you want to elaborate?
Yes, I know that Serena Williams built a school in Jamaica and in Anguilla, not just Anguilla, but I'm sure throughout the islands that were affected by the hurricanes over the last year. That was a true sense of giving back. In Anguilla, we have a large percentage of repeat guests, and they come back not just for the sun, the sea, the food, and the hotels. It's because of the people. And you know who your true friends are when you really need them. And over the last year, we needed our friends, and they came forward. They came forward. And if you came to Anguilla the day after Hurricane Irma, you thought it was a disaster. If you came back a month or two later, you think, did a hurricane hit? A couple of reasons. That we've been through it before, so the people had some belief that you could do it again. You get out there and you clean up and you rebuild. But then you think, who's out there to help us? And especially from North America, from Europe. In fact, wherever repeat guests seem to have visited Anguilla, they came forward and helped our people. And with that, it tells you that if you talk about tourism is everyone's business, is everybody's, and it is true, because over the years, that relationship between employees, all employees on the island and visitors have been of a high quality. There's been mutual respect. And when you see that's happening, we can't wait for them to come back again to say thank you. Of course, the ones who turned up by Christmas, even though we say we were ready for a small percentage, but I think they wanted to say we're here because we care about you. And I'll go back as far as 1999 when we were hit by Hurricane Lenny, which was mainly water, and a lot of it. And I remembered seeing Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon turned up about a week later, and I said, "What are you doing here?" I hope he doesn't mind me calling his name. But he said, "Cardi, I came back because I believed the people needed me." And that says so much. And so there's this great relationship between not just Anguilla, I'm sure the whole Caribbean, that when people come back, guests comes back, they could choose to go anywhere else in the world, but they choose to come back to us because we're special.
Mm-hmm. And that goes back to that you're giving them. There's a sense of purpose, and maybe something that on a maybe smaller front that we could offer, or that you could offer to travelers that are coming. Just even some way finding packaging it into some kind of experience. So it looks like we've run out of time.
I want to thank all of the speakers.